This is a summary of what we know about emotion and motivation in relationship to the emotions. So we know that extroversion is associated with incentive reward, hope, curiosity, play, enthusiasm. That seems to be associated with dopaminergic function and with the part of the hypothalamus that governs exploratory behavior. So it's an approach circuit. And so it seems that people who are extroverted have a lower threshold for having that circuit activated. Maybe it's something like that, or maybe unless they're stimulated, they don't have enough positive emotion. It's not that easy to tell. Extroverts harvest attention from the social group. So you think about these as ways of adapting to the world. Like the social group is full of resources, and if you're assertive and you're popular, then you can benefit from the accrual of social resources. It puts you up the dominance hierarchy, so it's a good strategy for moving. It's one good strategy for moving ahead. Neuroticism, pain, frustration, disappointment, fear, anxiety, those seem to be associated with GABA circuits, because those are the circuits that Valium and barbiturates and benzodiazepines affect. And it's also the case that as you move up the dominance hierarchy and your serotonin levels rise, your negative emotion gets more well regulated. Whereas if you fall down the dominance hierarchy, then your negative emotions get less regulated. Probably your positive emotions too. Agreeableness, empathy, sympathy, compliance, care system. That's the care system that Jaak Panksepp described. So if you're interested in that, you could read a bit more about that. That's maternal circuitry, essentially. That runs on oxytocin. So agreeable people, can always tell when I have an agreeable person in my clinical practice, because what happens when they come in is that they instantly start to talk about relationships. You know, so they'll lay out their biography, and like a conscientious person will talk about the things they have to do and the things they've done over their life. And an open person will say, well, here's the things I'm really interested in. You know, but an agreeable person will say, well, from 1982 to 1987, I went out with this person, and then I had a relationship with this person. And so they naturally seem to configure their biographies in terms of dyadic, intimate relationships. So, whereas the disagreeable people, you know, well, they're not so good at that kind of thing. And if you talk to engineers, for example, and I've talked to a lot of them in Silicon Valley, they're pretty oriented towards things, and their interpersonal skills can be, well, interesting to say the least. But you know, they invent lots of interesting things, so like, hooray, go engineers.